business. It's business time. Hang tight, we're gonna get into the business right here in a couple minutes. Baby, baby. It's business. It's business time. All right, we are here, week 23 of It's Business Time. We are joined this week by Mr. Dustin Manucci.
How are you?
Of the Dustin Manucci Trio, music lessons, sponsorships. You got so much stuff going on. I'm so excited to get into. I have a lot of friends in the music space, but I haven't invited them all on because they don't have the breadth of interesting stories. I mean, the sponsorship alone is very, very cool. A lot of businesses and brands are always kind of looking for partnerships. You've done that numerous times. We are going to get into that here in a minute, for sure. Before we get rolling, I always like to give a real quick shout out to Stitch House for having us. Stitch House right here on Market Street. They always have 12 beers up on tap. I am delighted that they have the Gooseberry Sour up on draft. What are you drinking here, Dustin?
What am I drinking? The Pilsner?
Oh, this is the Pilsner. Yep,
Yeah.
the Pilsner.
It's fantastic.
Run for the Pills, I believe.
What else did I have? I had I'm having trouble. The Future looks hazy.
Yeah, the hazy IPA.
And that was very good.
Yeah, for sure. So always have 12 locally brewed beers on tap. This is why we love Stitch House. Small business, makes their own products. So anyway, with that, we are rolling. And Dustin, again, thank you for coming through.
Thank you.
Yeah, thanks for giving my guitar the treatment there a minute ago. That was really fun to hear someone of your caliber shredding a little bit on it.
I appreciate it. Thank you. And me and you actually recently jammed together at
Torbit, yeah. Torbert Street Social. Yeah, that was a fun time with Genesis. And this is a great kind of segue into how we met, the scene, all that type of stuff. You know, I see you all over the place through Delaware Music Network, through Icons, the new bar Icons. We had Napoleon on a few weeks ago.
I love those guys. They're fantastic.
Absolutely. And I can already feel they're already at the heart and the core of the music scene.
I just got to give them a shout out because they've really been very they're really at the top of the original venue music game.
Absolutely. That's Icons. Used to be Oddity, but Icons now.
And it looks
definitely check them out.
Fantastic.
It looks incredible over on Green Hill Ave, right off Union Street. For those who don't know. But yeah, man. So today's about you though, and that's a great shout out.
I'm just shouting out everybody.
I know, and it's a good time to do it right there in the beginning. But so I want to get to the sponsorships, how you had school paid for by Diodario, all the really good stuff here in a minute. But let's take it way back. Yeah. You know, how'd you get into music? Because eventually we are going to talk about how music became your lifestyle, your business, all that stuff.
Okay, so I started. My grandfather and my uncle. Well, my grandfather, Mal, he owned a music store, and we basically grew up in it. My uncle, which is Chris Malinowski, which many of you know, which everybody knows, him and my grandfather taught me. So I remember my uncle giving me Kiss Love Gun.
Oh, wow.
And
that's a classic.
I forget what the other album was, but the minute I saw them, I was in love.
Yeah.
Absolutely in love. And I saw the guitar in the store and started picking it up. I was terrible at it. Yeah. I was terrible, but I studied. I literally just worked my ass off on doing this. Mm-hmm. And that was the first initial welcoming to playing guitar. Was Kiss.
So, and we were talking a little before the interview started, but so you were playing guitar for a couple of years, started around 14, right?
No, I started around 9.
Oh, playing around 9, gotcha.
I was playing out by 14.
Oh, out by 14, gotcha. Yeah, that explains why you're 5 years better than me. I didn't know. Just kidding.
Dude, you're fantastic.
No. But no, I'm just making the joke. Early when you said you started playing at 14, I was like, yeah, me too. But I had the piano lessons and stuff in the beginning, so that always helps, the music theory.
that was my thing. Yeah. It is now.
Yeah.
Theory is everything for me.
It's truly fun to watch you play. It's clearly someone who's very, very comfortable with the tool that they're using, you know.
I like absolutely adore it. It's part of my body at this point.
Yeah.
And it's my life.
Yeah.
This is what I play guitar. This is what I do.
Yeah, perfect segue. It is my life. It is your livelihood as well, right?
Yes, absolutely.
So,
It pays my rent.
So tell a little bit about how you kind of went from playing and gigging and having fun as a kid into the sponsorship or the scholarship, right?
Honestly, like having fun as a kid, I never thought about it as even, and this is going to sound weird, but not as fun. Like, this is what I wanted to do.
Right.
There was never a plan B for me. And that started even at like 9 years old.
Yeah,
that's what I wanted to do.
So you at 9 years old, you were like, you see these professional guitar players and you're like, that's where I'll be.
That's what I wanted to do.
Yeah.
That was it.
Gotcha.
I loved performing. I grew up performing. And wearing my mom's high heels. Kiss.
Yeah. Nice. So the reason, the reason I kind of want to get into a little bit of the scholarship, sponsorships, and things like that is because, this is a small business focused podcast.
So I got that with the scholarship. I was teaching at a place called Crossroads. So let's start from there. I was teaching, I would teach occasionally, when I was 16, we would have friends that, were like, hey, I want to take a lesson with you. I knew how to sweep arpeggios and stuff like that. But it got really serious when I moved to Cherry Hill, New Jersey.
Okay.
And I was teaching at a place called Crossroads. Are we allowed to, unfortunately, it's not open anymore.
Yeah, no, it's all,
but
I'll handle the legal ramifications.
It became, I was teaching 100+ students. It got to that point.
Wow.
And I actually, do you know Brett? Have you met Brett?
I know Brett, yeah.
I've known Brett since I was that age.
Gotcha.
And I remember the first thing the owner said to me. I walked in. I looked like Yngwie. I had white snakeskin cowboy boots on, a vest, and a white ruffle shirt. And he was like, "You better be able to play looking like that."
Yeah.
And it was the greatest. It was the greatest thing that anybody could ever say. But that's how it started. And as Crossroads was moving on, I discovered MI. I looked into MI. One of my friends was going there. And I was like, man, I've never, it's kind of time to move on. I want to look at schools and stuff like that, and submitted some stuff. It was major 7 arpeggios, minor 7, all that stuff, theory aspects. I'm not going to go into detail with that.
Right. Yeah, that's definitely another podcast.
But D'Addario. That's actually, I think that's how you actually pronounce it.
The string company. That most of us know as the string company.
They paid for my school.
Yeah.
And I got 2 scholarships to go to MI in Los Angeles, and it was the greatest experience in the world.
Yeah, wow.
There would be somebody that was practicing 12 hours. I think I was doing 10 hours a day of straight-up guitar practice. And this amazing competition because you had everybody was good.
Yeah.
Everybody, and I love that, and I miss that a lot.
Well, that's what's, and that's where a lot of this kind of crisscrosses. So this series, just to give you a little bit of background, this series has largely been about small business owners and kind of what were they doing before to get them into this world.
Yeah.
And, it's so interesting because it's a lot of people don't think of the music and arts world as similar to construction or landscaping or whatever.
It's very similar.
Yeah, but they all are. Yeah, you're building skills, and you're marketing those skills. Sometimes you're going to cut grass. Other times you're training people to cut grass. So it's similar
Same thing
to
with this. Guess what, guys? Music is a business.
Yeah.
Just like anything else.
It is. It absolutely is a business. And so you were teaching a lot of students, right? Obviously, that's the good stream of revenue for any artist, any musician.
It makes you better too, because you have to break it down. How did you learn how to play a C chord, even?
Right.
And actually explaining it where it's legible.
Yeah. So this was what age did you start picking up a lot of your students?
Probably by 21, 22. I remember Guitar Hero, Guitar Hero 2 or 3. It had Slash on the cover of it.
Right, yeah.
And I think it was 2000. Yeah, so I'm not going to say any dates because I'm going to get them completely wrong.
Right.
But the minute that came out, that's when everybody was like flooding in.
Right.
And, that's what happened. I was teaching a whole lot. And it was amazing.
Yeah.
It was absolutely amazing.
So the diversity, right? Of course, we all know of musicians and artists who are like on stage. And
Yeah.
of course, we assume they're making money from on stage. But there's so many behind the scenes things that build your skills. They keep you, because the short version of a lot of small businesses is if they're not able to make money doing what they love, then they have to go get a second job
Yeah.
to fund their passion. And then as soon as you do that, you're kind of like, you're no longer living and breathing the product.
This isn't even like, I think it's beyond a passion. I think it's like, this is what I do. And I never thought, like, it really is a business, and it needs to be treated as a business, not a passion.
Right.
Like, if I have a passion for, like, fish is a passion for me.
Right.
Or, like, I love my movies, but I don't want to be in. I like movies. I like composing for movies, but I don't want to do movies for a full
But
time.
I guess where I was going with that was something is a passion in the beginning, right? And you want to pursue it. But if you're pulled off to fund that passion, say your passion's music, but you have to go landscape to fund that passion.
So money is going to become that priority.
Right.
Yeah, no,
that's where I was kind of asking.
No, I get it. Sorry, I went on a little tangent.
No, you're good. You're good. But yeah, that's where because what I'd like from this series is for people who are about to embark on some of the things that you're doing, about to embark on their own journeys, to for one get an idea of like what kind of dedication they have to have before.
You have to and I'm going to be very honest with everybody.
Yeah.
And you have to sacrifice everything for it. And on top of that, you can't be scared of it. Like, there's going to be so many people the more successful you get at it, the more people are going to completely hate on it or tell you can't do it, whether it's your parents or friends or peers or anything else in the scene.
Right.
Even the people that you play with, you know,
right, yeah.
You have to listen to what you're going to do, but you got to be really fucking good at it.
Yeah. Yeah. And
that's where the practice comes in handy, at home. You got to do the homework at home. That's where it starts. You got to come out of the door ready to go.
Yeah. And so, you're like, to translate it into business language, when you say practice, you're working on your product, essentially. You're working on what you're going to be.
Yeah, it's not just about the playing, like posting Instagram content or like now we have, and I'm saying that because everything's social media now.
Yeah, totally.
People don't make CDs or records. It's about posting content on the internet, whether it's TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, or anything else. I guess Twitter became X.
Yeah, no, we don't. I don't acknowledge that here.
Neither do I. I
don't
know. Yeah,
that
I'm sorry. Like neither do I. I don't have it, but.
No, I'm just kidding. But yeah, it's X now. But so yeah, that's a huge part.
But just social media platforms in general.
Content creation. So last week we had Monty of Monty's Neighborhood Snacks come through.
Okay.
Great with social media, someone who's been honing his craft for a long time, and teaching cooking is actually a big part of that world, right? So it's so interesting the parallels that we see across. But tell me a little bit. So we're still kind of walking up to where you're at now, right? So you were teaching in your early 20s. At what point did you decide it's time to like put together a band, get out there, and start like?
I never stopped. I had bands.
Okay, you had
they
bands
were always
the whole
like,
time.
Our first band was, I think it was called The Crank. I was like 13.
Yeah.
And I remember the riff to it, like the first song. I think it was about Surge. Do you remember the soda?
I remember the soda. Yeah, Surge.
So that was like one of the first riffs I ever really wrote and got creative with.
Nice. And the riff from the commercial, Surge?
No, just from, that was like our own riff, but the song was about Surge.
Right. Okay, nice. So
but I never
some early branding here. Yeah.
Yeah, all the time, and I was always drawing my own logos because I know how to draw very well.
Right.
I haven't practiced in a while, so.
So I'm worried a little bit we're going to get to a point in this conversation, right, where a lot of people, I'm like, what are some of the strategies that people can use to kind of up their career? And I'm worried a little bit it's going to be all hard work. Like when you're
Because
looking
it is
for
all hard
of
work.
course I know. So my fear was correct. No, but and that is true. That is very good. But when you're looking for sponsors, when you're looking for bandmates, when you're trying to build the next kind of chapter, hard work is good. But how
Hard
do you
work,
kind of
but
get the
also
clarity for the next steps?
You got to be smart about it, and you got to have an idea exactly what you want to do
Yeah.
before you even think about
Do you
it.
vision board? Do you write it all out? How do you
No.
kind of imagine the next chapter in each phase? Because a musician's
People are
career
going
is
to hate this, but it
very
honestly
scattered.
just goes through my brain.
Yeah.
I kind of keep it organized, and that just comes from my teacher brain,
Yeah. Okay. Gotcha.
where
gotcha.
everything's got to be very, very organized and together.
And you keep all the organization in the brain. You
Yeah.
don't write it out or nothing.
No.
Okay. So
And also not second guessing yourself.
yeah.
Guess what? Sometimes there's no such thing as like failure as long as you keep like you can fail. Like maybe it might not be as successful as you think, but you can do things a little bit. You can tweak a couple of things,
Right. Right.
and might change the whole ball game of it.
right. Right.
And it's just a couple of little things. Don't get me wrong. There's been a lot of shit too.
Right,
Like you're
right.
going to eat shit
Right.
like through this.
Right.
Can I cuss on this?
Yeah. Yeah. It's not necessarily for kids.
But you are gonna eat shit
Mhm,
through it.
mhm.
Like that's just how it is, man.
Oh, I should start blanking it out.
Dude, that would actually
just
be
for the
really
fun,
funny.
because I miss those days.
Please do.
But yeah, no, I like what you're saying, because there is an entrepreneurial spirit with you're gonna hit a wall, you're gonna have down periods, you're gonna have people who you thought were on your side turn against you, all that, and you have to just keep going through those moments.
So you tweak those things just a little bit, just enough where it
Yeah.
can become like, okay. But like listening to other people with like suggestions and stuff, here's my issue with that is if they're not doing it, they don't know.
All right, right. That is a big point. Is we get the most criticism in the small business world from those who work in
From-
regular
from
9
people
to
who
5.
don't do it.
Who don't do it. Yeah.
So
that's
it's like
true.
you don't know.
Right. Right.
Sorry, that's how it comes from experience.
Right, right. Even when they mean well and they're saying, "Hey, I see the path you're on. I think you should focus a little more over here, a little more over there." It's like even when they mean well, it's hard to describe to them.
Unless they're doing it.
Yeah,
And what works for me and what works for you is going to be totally different things.
absolutely. So I've been, I don't like to talk about myself too much on this, but
Please do.
I've been a songwriter my whole life, and I worked in a corporate job for 2 years.
He's fantastic, guys, by the way.
Oh, thank you. But during that period in corporate, I didn't write a single song. I hardly even practiced. And took so much energy to make those people happy. I didn't have any energy left to make myself happy. And so, I always admire people who kind of stay on that path the way
Right.
that you clearly have. But to bring it back to you specifically, the brand, Dustin Manucci, right?
Right.
You have this in the DMT, the Dustin Manucci Trio. You have this in, every time you're in a band or doing anything, you maintain your personal brand
Yes, you have to.
as well. Because oftentimes when I talk to people who are in bands, a band is a brand, right? If you're 4 people in a band with a name, right? Let's say the name is, the French Fries or whatever, and you decide to leave the French
That's
fries.
my next band, by the way.
Right. But if you decide to leave, you leave that brand behind, and everything you've built into it, you leave behind.
Yeah.
And a lot of people don't understand how difficult it is to, sometimes those bands are like our kids. The songs that we wrote with these other people are like,
Right.
they mean a lot to us. Can you talk a little bit about what it's been like through the years to collaborate with other musicians, kind of the upsides and the downsides?
So the upsides is I've worked with some like monster players,
Yeah,
some amazing players. So so I have a couple of different mentalities. When I'm going into a different band, let's say the Mambas or Nitro Nitra or
Right.
something, and I'm going to talk about something current,
Right,
just because I'm not
Yeah,
going to
yeah.
go back then.
Whatever you'd like.
But any of those bands, I'm not going into it thinking about myself at that
Right.
point. I'm going in. I want a leader. I want somebody else going, hey, I'm writing the songs. You just have to play.
Right.
This is what I love that.
Yeah.
Because I have my own stuff that I'm writing that I want to concentrate on my own.
Right, yeah.
So
No,
I just
that
want
makes
to go in
sense.
and be like, hey, you need to either, play less, which I've gotten. I play a lot of notes if anybody knows me. I like a lot of more is more kind of thing. But going into different bands, I'm like, what are you guys doing, and why do you want to hire me to do what you're doing?
Yeah. It took me a long time myself. I wish I could go back to my younger self and tell him, when you're in other people's projects, just be what they need you to be.
It becomes actually easier that way and less stress, to be honest with you.
Yep.
And then when you have your own thing, make sure that you are the leader if you want to be that way. But guess what? All the responsibilities are hanging on you.
Right.
So if you fuck it up, it's your fault. If you should probably bleep that one out.
Yeah. That's been a through line of all the people I've had on, which is, they step up, they know what they want, they work very, very hard to get to where they're at.
Yeah.
And every time they try and kind of hand that torch, I shouldn't say every time, they are successful sometimes, but often when they try and hand that torch, it's not someone else's dream, right? Their dream is to pay their rent. Your dream is to build a business or build a brand. And so when you hand that torch, it's easy for them to set it down and be like, look, I got other things going on. And that's one of the hardest parts of any business, any brand, is to scale, is to get bigger, bring people into your circle that care about your mission as well.
Right, absolutely. But even if they don't, man, like, just if they're already in it, like, you're so, like, confident in what you're doing that, like, look, you guys are members, play this, play that, and then you do it.
Yeah.
And that's it. I will tell you what, I did find, I will shout out Greg, man. Me and him songwrite really, really, really well together.
Yeah, yeah.
And we're good friends. Even when we're not good friends, we songwrite really well together.
Yeah, yeah. How long have you known Greg for?
Oh man, probably close to 10 years now.
Okay, wow. Yeah. I've a while ago I had someone, he's in his 60s now, but he had a business partner for 30 years, right?
Yeah.
And when he met him, it was just like everything worked out really smooth. And he's like, and then we hit that period where we were just butting heads constantly.
Oh, me and Greg have been there a million times.
Sure. but then, the more you do that with someone you enjoy working with or a partner or whatever, it's I think of The Matrix, right? It's like you never truly know someone until you fight them.
Absolutely. It's also healthy.
Yeah.
You also need that.
Yeah.
If you guys are getting along too well, man, all the time.
Yeah. So I have a lot of questions about songwriting credits and royalties and stuff, but we don't want to go too far down
we're gonna stay away
right now,
from that whole thing right now. That's a whole different podcast.
It's a whole different podcast. But that being said, I do want to sink in a little bit to the business side of music. So
okay, let's do it.
So you had mentioned a sponsor that you have a sponsor you have. Who is that sponsor with?
So that's Laudo Guitars.
Okay.
Laudo Guitars, it's run by Peter Brown.
Okay.
Are
they local?
Yeah, they're a South Jersey company.
Laudo Guitars. I'm going to put them right up here.
So, and I'm going to be like, so he hit me up. He saw me playing a St. Vincent. I use a St. Vincent Music Band.
Right.
Moneyball. Everybody knows my baby.
Yeah, yeah.
And he was like, hey, he's known about me through the years of, like, I lived in South Jersey. He knows all these amazing players from there. And he was like, hey, can we put one of these in your hands? And it was this amazing guitar that, like, felt like a St. Vincent. It kind of looks like an Explorer, like, and then a St. Vincent had a baby.
Yeah.
And we started collaborating, and we have a video out called Midnight Angel where you can actually see the guitar.
Check out Midnight Angel.
And that's on YouTube, by the way. So Midnight Angel, Dustin Manucci Trio. And I was like, can we make it in, like, really hot pink? I always wanted to own, like, a super, like, ridiculously hot pink guitar.
I can concur, yeah. It's an explosive color.
That's exactly what it is.
Yeah.
And it's absolutely amazing. And the guitar company is amazing. Pete's been amazing.
So, say the name of the company one more time.
So, Laudo.
Laudo. And they manufacture guitars?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
And then they found you were on stage?
Through Instagram.
Oh, through Instagram.
And Instagram and Facebook.
Okay, got you.
Yeah, and he came out to the Landis Theater and, brought that guitar with him.
Yeah.
And when we did the Battle of the Bands down at Landis Theater.
Yeah, got you. Now, was this, how do we say this in our field? Was this like a verbal contract, or is this? Did you guys sit down, hash out the details on like what if he's what if?
I'm not
what
going to
if-
go too into detail about
Okay,
it,
that's
but we
fine, yeah.
are sitting down and
Yeah.
yeah.
Good, because I was gonna say, oftentimes it starts verbal, right? Here's what we.
That's how
wanna
it
do.
started. Simple
Yeah,
as that.
but what if one of your songs blows up, right? And all of a sudden you have millions of dollars pouring in, you're playing his guitar, right? He's gonna wish he had something on paper.
Absolutely. I'm not, and maybe like it has got me into trouble sometimes where I can be a little bit too nice about it.
Yeah, yeah.
Like where I'm gonna try to give everybody credit, because
Yeah.
I've had like where people have tried to ride the coattails or
Well, that's what's so difficult is like it's happened to me, and I've listened to a lot of people sitting right there in that chair talk about this, but it's like
you want to trust everybody.
Yeah.
But unfortunately, I've gotten smarter about that.
but it's not just it's trust. Trust is important, but it's more you're going to have a moment where you have an argument about what the revenue split is. That's going to happen, and it is better to have that argument when there isn't revenue. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
Like
oh, I
pre-revenue.
know very, 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 very well.
Yeah, yeah.
There's some stuff I'm not going to talk about.
Yeah,
like,
and that's fine.
but
That's
yes.
That's what I mean. This is a delicate conversation because we all know.
There's
same
just a lot
people,
of
it's
there's a
small
lot of
scene.
stories that I
Yeah.
really probably shouldn't or can talk about.
Right. That's what we call the NDA. The
but
old
yes,
non-disclosure.
absolutely. Simple as that. Like my whole thing is make it relatively easy by everybody splits everything
Right.
evenly,
Right. Yeah.
whether it's verbal or not.
Yeah.
My whole thing is when everybody like I've had people where they start to take advantage of that kind of idea.
Yeah.
And that's when I get like really upset, and that's when I'm like, oh well, now you realize I
Yeah.
own this, right?
Yeah, I will say this. I will say this to the camera too. Like as someone who's been in arts and music for a long time, I honestly think that like corporate HR, stockholders, all them, if they could just see a year of what it's like to do the human resource management that it takes to run bands, to book shows, to like get people out to there's
How many
so
times you had promoters like tell you something, and then you get to they wait till you get to the venue,
yeah.
and then they completely screw you.
And that's the thing is it's like there's so much like trust and understanding that kind of meets business, right?
That's part of it.
I know
and it will always be part of it, and it will
It
never
will.
go away.
I know. There's always room for a middleman in the music industry because people just want to focus on playing their instruments. They want to focus on their art. They don't want to write contracts.
You
they don't
have
want
to,
argue
and
with
you.
people.
I'm going
Yeah.
to tell you this, and again, learn how to read contracts
Yeah.
and be smart about it. Learn how to read every fine print and every little subtle thing.
Yep.
Just because it looks really good,
Mm-hmm.
actually read it and think about it.
Yeah.
Because it can be really good. It might be even better than you expected,
yeah.
or it could be worse.
Well, that's what I tell a lot of artists this. But contracts are there to protect you just as much as they're there to protect the people.
Negotiate, learn to negotiate, and
yeah.
learn to be smart about it. Don't just be a guitarist or don't be a drummer. Blah blah
Mhm.
blah. You have to be a business person,
Who are, yeah.
and especially as a band leader, you have to be a business person.
Right. Right.
And I'm obsessed with that, and I'm still learning it. I'm always gonna
Oh
still
yeah.
learn
No,
it.
it's always. I mean, as soon as I think I know something, then I talk to someone.
You don't know shit.
Yeah,
Like nobody
exactly.
knows anything.
I know.
Like, but there's all kinds of different. Again, like there's so many different ways of doing things.
Yeah. Yeah.
There's not really any right or wrong area.
That's a good. Let me ask you: do you have a mentor in this space? Do you have someone in this space that you are comfortable at least saying I look up to and they give me great advice?
Chris Gordon.
Yeah.
I don't know if anybody's ever heard Chris Gordon, but Chris Gordon's absolutely one. He will smoke all of you on guitar.
Yeah. Yeah.
He's amazing, absolutely incredible. But I talked to him a lot about this stuff.
Yeah.
And he's half the reason I didn't go to high school either. I was always at the ground with him,
Right.
and
right.
he's a second dad.
Yeah.
You know, so.
Yeah.
But at the same time, we both have our own ways of doing things too. But
Right.
definitely like listening to certain things or just
Yeah.
hearing, and you're like, oh, okay, I'm good. But at the same time, my whole thing is like, I'm gonna try whatever I can,
Yeah. Yeah.
whether it completely screws me or or it works out for the better. And right now, everything's kind of working out really well.
Yeah, no, I see that. I mean, that's why, I was excited to talk to you too, because things seem to be really, really rolling, and it's always good to kind of take that snapshot, take that moment, kind of mark that moment when things are going well,
right?
Because
there's going to be times where it doesn't go very well.
Yeah, when it doesn't go well,
but it's also changing the perspective of it.
Yeah.
Maybe it's like, okay, so maybe sometimes you need to take a break from it.
Yeah.
Maybe sometimes you need to take a month or two off.
I took 6 years off.
I'm learning that. I work usually until I'm completely exhausted and burned out.
Yeah.
But sometimes I'm like, okay, so even with teaching, I'm like, I don't need to teach every single day.
Right.
I do love it, but at the same time, I'm like, man, maybe I should just learn how to sit and watch a movie.
How many students on average are you doing on a busy day?
About 50 plus.
In a week?
Yeah.
50 students in a week?
Yeah.
Wow, that's fun math. That's awesome.
Hey guys.
Wow, right now you're doing 50 students a
Yeah.
week. That's awesome.
Yeah.
Wow, and congratulations.
I love it, and it's absolutely amazing. And again, like same thing. It started from one student, then you got 3 students,
Right,
and you got 4 or 5. And gaining, word of mouth and whatever.
Yeah.
But you got to be really good at what you do. And I really do spend a lot of time with a crafted lesson plan for each student.
Yeah, wow. So do you have a home studio, or where do you teach out of?
I teach at Guitar Center.
Oh, okay. Wow, very cool. The
But
one
I
on
also,
202?
yeah.
No shit.
I also do a couple of students online at home.
Okay, like Zoom style. Or
Yeah. I like online lessons.
Yeah.
With COVID, I got really good at teaching online.
Yeah, that's cool. Wow. All right. So there's another little business tidbit. Teaches through Guitar Center, so you don't have to worry about overhead. You don't have to worry about brick and mortar. Do they take a percentage of your lessons?
Of course.
Yeah.
And I don't mind that because...
Are you allowed to share that percentage? I'm just curious for other people out there.
I can't share the exact...
Okay.
I can't share
no worries,
any
no
of
worries.
that kind of stuff. No.
Yep.
But I do teach at Guitar Center Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, Friday, and Saturday.
Yeah. Wow.
So, but I also teach privately on Wednesdays. And
what's the best way for people to get in contact with you? Book
Facebook.
And all that. Facebook's the best way. So that you can find him right here on Facebook.
Yeah.
And then
everybody has Facebook, I'm pretty sure.
And then it's probably
Unless you're my
Dustin
dad.
Manucci across the socials, I would imagine.
Oh yeah, I have Instagram, all of it. All
Yeah.
of it. Except for, Twitter.
Except for I miss that.
Except for Twitter or
Yeah,
whatever. I don't have to
Twix.
use that.
Twix.
Twix.
Yeah, that's so absurd to take a storied brand and just decide that it's gonna
completely change it.
Yeah, be one third of what anyway.
What is it?
It's very confusing. But you know what?
But Instagram and Facebook are the way to get a hold of me the best way. And also TikTok.
Got you. So look for Dustin Manucci on Instagram and Facebook. Best way to get in touch. So before you go, let's, I want to keep these digestible right around 20 minutes here.
Absolutely.
I can tell we can, we're going to
Dude, we could go into a whole rabbit hole.
There's so many things I want to talk
what do you
about.
Mean, you guys, you don't want to see 3 hours of this?
Maybe, but that'll be just the audio part. But yeah, there's so many things I want to dive into, just like specifics. But again, I want to keep these digestible. Yeah. So before we let you go, you got the Dustin Manucci Facebook, Instagram. That's the best way to reach them. Is there anything else that you teach lessons? You're in Dustin Manucci Trio. Do you do solo shows as well? Or?
I do. I work with a couple of different artists. I work with Nitro Nitra.
Right. Okay. Nitro
and I also
Nitra.
work with a really fantastic artist named Peaks, pop indie artist, and she's very good. We're actually playing Friday at.
What was that name one more time?
So Peaks. It's actually
P-E-A?
It's all capital.
Okay.
The way you find her is P-E-E-K-S.
Oh, okay, Peaks.
Exclamation
Okay,
point.
as in like hiding and seeking.
She has a really cool song, Liar Liar, which I thought was really good. If everybody knows me, I love pop music. Even though I play in a lot of metal bands and all kinds of stuff like that. I absolutely adore people like Britney Spears and Miley Cyrus and everybody else.
Yeah.
So I have a Britney Spears shirt on right now.
Yeah. So last question before you go, just because I love original music.
Yeah.
And I know this is like choosing your children, but if there's one song you could tell people to go check out to get an idea of what you do.
Epica Suite.
Epica Suite.
Yeah.
EPICA.
CASUITE.
Sweet. Okay.
And that's
Epica
on
Suite.
Spotify. That's one of my favorite songs. I wrote that when I was 14.
Wow.
Angry at a party. I was sitting on the couch and wrote it.
Yeah.
And,
that's the best way. That's the best way.
That's how that started.
My 2 favorite songs that I've ever written, I wrote, I think, around 16, 17.
Yeah. And you still play them
I
out,
still play
you
them,
know?
and the songs I wrote in my 20s don't compare. And
That's how I feel like about like
it's funny how that works.
you're just like, man, like, did I write better back then?
I've started writing again this last year, but I am all over the place. Yeah,
So am I.
Yeah, I've everything from folk, rock, all the way through trap
like,
stuff.
I guess
it's
like it's hard to like say like when people do ask, and they're gonna ask you your genre.
yeah.
I always say I'm a rock guitar player, but I
Right.
also branch off into jazz, blues, and classical and everything like that, and hair metal or whatever.
Adaptability's key.
So I don't know, like whatever you want to say about it, like just you take a listen to it, whatever it sounds like to you, go for it. I like soundtracks, so that's what Epica Suite kind of is really based on. It was
Well, I've only known you about a year, but I can say this much. If you reach out and you ask him a question, he's going to give you an honest answer.
I'm going to give you a very honest answer. Probably a long answer, but very honest.
Yeah. Well, man, Dustin, it's been an absolute pleasure having you through.
Same. Thank you so much, man. I really enjoyed this.
Definitely.
And I love your play, and I love playing with you.
Oh, thanks, man. It's been great, and I see so many good things coming. Before we leave, want to give another shout out to Delaware Music Network.
They have been
check them out right here. Joe
instrumental in helping us out so much.
Yeah. I've seen all the stuff they've done.
I love Joe, and I love G-Dash, and you guys are awesome. You guys are fantastic.
We got a great scene here in Wilmington. You're proof of it, and the people that work with you are proof of it as well.
Like Delaware really has a fantastic.
It does.
And some amazing music. Like, I mean, sick players.
For the size that it is, it's a good per capita music scene.
Oh, I mean, it's a small city that wants to be a big, like, giant city.
You nailed it.
Or a small state that wants to be a big city. I mean, I guess I'm sorry I did not include Middletown and all the rest of that, but we live in Wilmington, so I'm kind of I stay here, usually.
Yep, it's definitely it's got a lot of the benefits of being a city while still being small enough where the arts and music.
You know what it
scene
is? Everybody's coming down from where it's tri-state.
Yeah,
so
it
New
is.
York's right there. Philadelphia's right there. You take a train ride or whatever you're doing, it's right there.
Well, make sure to hop on the socials, follow Dustin, check out his shows. If you got anybody who wants lessons, reach out to him.
Please.
And again, thank you so much for coming through.
Thank you.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Y'all have a great rest of your February here, and we will see you soon.
Bye.
It's business.